Yeah, good morning and Barakah de Salah to all our Muslim brothers and sisters. Actually, Barakah de Salah to everybody because we are all the same, we're all one. Right, today is a special day for me because my very good Abro Demola Adeoti, who I usually call Shore Banker, is 50 today, and I'm quite proud of him. I wish him all the best. Let me tell you what Demola did that struck me. The very first time that he did that struck me that I'd hardly ever seen. I walked into Tola Kikugwe's office one day and I saw him with a very fine Lenovo laptop. And I was impressed. This laptop is very fine, I'd love to. Where did you get it? And so on and so. Anyway, to cut a long story short, meeting him for the first time, I walked out of Tola's office with that laptop.
Where is it?
The laptop.
This
is about 5-6 years ago, and it has changed hands. I used it to bless another person after I used it for a short while.
Yeah, good man.
I'm a good man now. Even if you don't tell me I'm not a good man.
Yeah, good man.
I have this thing about gadgets. I do some fine Lenovo laptop, and since then, Demola has been my very good bro. Even though sometimes he can be a naughty boy, he can be a naughty boy. So he's 50. So Sharif, in case I don't come tomorrow, Babati law correct. Actually, yes, because today, COVID or no COVID, we will sit in one corner. We'll be using straws to drink champagne and so on. Happy birthday, Shore Banker. I wish you all the best. Please, I'm coming to keep that champagne chilled. Right, I almost forgot today. I thought it was tomorrow, but I'm having so many senior moments. But I'm glad she came. Gbemi Ogunride is here. Gbemi Ogunride is, of course, she's Buki's sister, for those of you who know Buki when I was in Classic. And she's a psychologist. Do I get that right? Yeah, she's a psychologist. And I brought her specifically to enlighten us on how to handle trauma. Ironically, just down the road as I was coming down the corridor, not the same corridor of that place, another corridor here, there was one of us here who had lost her dad, and that was what we were discussing. And I just thought that because of the circumstances we find ourselves in, between December and now, yesterday I lost another person, my Aburo DG Pierce. Those of us who went to Comprehensive High School at Itoro, or who grew up in Yaba, in Adam Street area, will know the late DG Pierce. And he was born in 1958. That makes him how old now? I can't think of that. So he's in his 60s. And I hear he passed away. So my condolences to the Pierce family, especially Tunde Pierce, who we all grew up with. I mean, so I've lost about 14, 15, people in a very short while. I think most notable being Olukoka, just left all of a sudden. And I said, look, we need to get somebody to, let's see how we can how do we handle trauma. So I decided to bring Bremi in. Bremi, how are you?
I'm fine.
You're a bit quiet this morning. Are you okay?
Yes, I am. I'm fine.
You're not under any form of trauma? Well, you need to go to YouTube. You guys out there, you need to go to YouTube. We're on YouTube Live. We're on Facebook Live. So you can see who I'm talking to. The babe fine, not be small. You find past book yourself. Well, we always want those behind us to be better than us. So Bookie won't mind if I say sister 5%. And so, Gbemi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well, there's so much to talk about trauma, and I don't think we'll finish it today. Maybe we'll pick another day to continue. But let's start from somewhere. Let's start on general terms. The times we're in now are very tough. So many people have lost their jobs, their friends. There is a lot of fear out there. Just this morning, I was talking about a plan B. On further inquiry from His Majesty sitting next to me, I said you should have a plan B1 and a plan B2. Let me explain. If your plan B is to go to Benin, if anything, then you can now say plan B1 will be, do I go to Idiroko or do I go to... But I just decided, in between having my breakfast, I got an offer to come to Opobo. If God forbid, over the bow like this, I just take a keno. Opobo yani. If along the line the people reject me, I'll go to Bonnie. Now, so how do you control your state of mind now? Because I won't lie to you, I'm worried. He might not admit it. He's worried. Don't be deceived by the laughs and smiles. All of us are worried every day. We get traumatized trying to read. When you read these stories about this and that, how do you handle that one in the first instance? Everybody is affected by that. And that includes you, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, yes. I think the first thing that we need to try and do is, as much as possible, I know especially for those of you in the media, it's important that you keep up to date about what's going on. But it's also for your own mental health and everybody else out there. Sometimes we need to limit the consumption of this information.
Yeah.
Because it's what we consistently expose ourselves to. That's what eventually affects our minds. So if we need to, especially when you're done with work, if you can, take a break off social media.
Yes.
As much as you can. So it's so that you're not consistently exposed to all, because we know that there's so many horrible things happening, not just in our nation, but all over the world.
All over the world.
Yes. And constantly watching or hearing about those things just has a way of, depressing us further.
Yes.
So that's about the first step that one needs to take.
But I hope all of you have heard that. Those who sit on Twitter. What I did in my own case, of course, I went off Twitter. Too many things. And then because one is exposed, you get a lot of negativity. Did I get that one right? You get a lot of negativity out there. People saying all kinds of horrible things.
Yeah.
It's even worse by the amount of fake news that you have out there. And also the fact that people tend to play a lot of politics without knowing or appreciating the damage they're doing. An elder statesman comes up and says, some people are grouping somewhere on the border. All of you be prepared. All of you this and that. It doesn't give you enough for you to make a what I call a good judgment and leaves it hanging so that you don't even know whether what he's saying is exaggerated or whatever. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that going. How do you control fear?
Well, it still goes back to majorly what you expose yourself to. And sometimes we feel like we don't have control over how we feel. I know that with the issue of, going out, we're hearing about the kidnapping here and there.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people are anxious, people are afraid to even go out. But it's important that we need to do a lot of self-talk.
Yes.
I mean, it's not as if these guys who ended up being kidnapped knew that it was going to happen or that they called it to happen. But we also need to, you may talk to yourself and just believe that, okay, I'm going to go out and return safe, and the thought comes to you like, didn't this other person leave their house having the same mindset, thinking they were just going to go out like it was a normal day and return?
Yes.
Just like, but those thoughts will come. But the most important thing is it's a battle of the mind. That's what it is. So for every negative thought that comes to mind, one needs to be deliberate about combating it with something positive. You just have to be intentional about it. Yes, there's no guarantee, there are no certainties, but we just have to do what we need to do to stay positive.
But how do you know when you get to a crisis point? Is it recognizable? Is it recognizable by you or by people around you?
Both ways, actually. When you get to a point where you can't function, you can't function at work, even in your relationships, there's lack of focus, lack of concentration. Their thoughts keep on, there are intrusions in your mind that can't even get you to sit still and get work done. So the moment you begin to slack on your work, probably maybe you have loss of appetite, or you're eating excessively just to manage whatever fears that you have, or you're not being able to sleep. Once your normal daily activities are affected, especially when you can't function,
what do you do then?
Then it's important that you reach out for help.
Where? Do you go for deliverance? Or?
Well, you could reach out to a mental health professional.
I think that's probably better, because I'm not running down any religion or being whatever, but sometimes religions can sometimes, not all the time, complicate the issue. I've seen people who, going through this kind of trauma, I say, okay, I will read my Bible. And so what do? You sit down and read the Bible continuously, on and on and on and on and on. And to be honest with you, I wonder what that does, if it won't create another problem. If you sometimes say it's deliverance, then sometimes you're even creating fear. Usually if you go to practitioners of all these prayer this and prayer that, it's too hype to say, oh, it's your enemies that are coming after you. You want them to die. You want them to cool. Things like that. It could get complicated. So I think I will align myself with that says that you should seek a mental health professional. Now, when you talk about mental health professionals, the first thing that occurs to anybody out there is, I'm a lawyer, but me are not fit. People can see me going into Yaba. We have all kinds of phobias. Our people are funny. It's taken us a while to get exposed to these things. I tell you a joke now, just to add a bit of humor to it. I have a big uncle who needed a washerman. And I said to him, way back then, some years back, he's probably listening but won't remember. I said, I can take them to, I wash my clothes at Yaba. He said, we washerman will on Yaba. I said, no. He said, the laundry department of the Yaba. And said something very uncomplimentary. We have all kinds of stigmas, but you need to overcome that. How do we observe people around us if they have? We can't wait until they will watch Yorubas, You can't wait until they start doing other things, but we really could look out to see, to see if there are any signs. Because we have to look out for each other.
Yes.
We have to. I think all of us are listening now. We have to look out. So what are the signs that we see that should make us say that we might need to take this person, to see...
I think at the point where you find out that this person has seemingly lost interest in things that they used to enjoy doing before, there's that social withdrawal. They rather just be by themselves than be with other people. Someone who probably also keeps complaining of not being able to sleep, or...
That seems to be the key, not being able to sleep. Isn't that the opposite of it, where the person... I know somebody who had this kind of problem, and rather than not being able to sleep, would like to sleep through the day. Excessively.
Yes.
Close the curtains, put the head under the duvet, put the air conditioner to freezing point, and sleep all through the day. That's another sign.
Yes, because they just don't feel like doing anything. They can't find the strength or the energy to want to do anything. So it's either excessive sleep or not being able to sleep. Either of those two. And like I said earlier, the person just can't function, at work. They're slacking at work. You're talking to them. Their mind is constantly, you have to call the person back each time. And then when people start saying things like, this life stuff, what is in this life, I mean, we say all those things every now and then, especially when we hear someone passes on and you're like, I say it too, that is this life worth all the hustle and bustle when you know that, tomorrow may not be guaranteed. But if that's a constant thing that this person keeps talking about, then...
Well, you've talked about passing on, and that, of course, is becoming a common trait. Like I told you, between December and now, I've lost about 14 people, such that I'm half dead to these things. When I hear somebody is dead, another one bites the dust, But how do you go through that trauma of having lost a loved one? What are the things? I don't want the secrets of your trade as such, but what are the things that one can do in case, maybe, for example, if you can't even afford a mental health, whatever? What are the things you can do?
Well, the first most important thing is to understand that everybody grieves differently. And yes, so you shouldn't let others judge you or tell you how you should feel or how you should respond. I mean, you have those that would cry, you have those that won't even shed a tear, and it doesn't mean that they're not feeling the loss or that they're not grieving. So you need to, acknowledge that first, and then get to a point where, and there are various stages of grief, really. You have the point of denial. You have those who are angry. You have and it's not like it goes in any particular order. You can feel it at any stage, at any point in time. And then there's a point where some people get depressed, and then after a while getting to the point of acceptance. So what do? You also want to seek support of your loved ones, because there's always that thing in when you have like a support system. There's that relief it gives to you when you can lean on somebody else when you're going through such a difficult time.
Shouldn't we be careful with the issue of support? Because sometimes support can complicate issues. Okay, so if if that happens, how do I support somebody? My inclination would be to let them be. Some people want to be left alone.
Yes.
And the support you give is to leave them alone.
Yes. Yes.
But some would say, I have to move in. I have to be with Jimmy. I have to move in. 2 weeks, there's still become a problem until. So, what? For example, I said when somebody is bereaved, I tend to watch what it is. I go there. Once I appear, the person knows I've come and what I've come to do anyway. And I probably will be saying, okay, I'm sorry, and leave it at that. Yeah. I'm not going to be asking questions as to how it happened and so on. I'm not going to be asking questions like that. I think people should take the lead from the. If I do ask sometimes, do you want to be visited? And I've had occasions where people say, "Oh, Jimmy, I appreciate that. Please, I'd rather be alone. Don't impose yourself on people." I think that is also very important. Am I right?
You're very correct. You're very correct. And that's why I said, people grieve differently. There are some that want 1, 2, 3 family members and close friends around them. There are some that don't just want anybody. So it's important, yes, you could call to ask or send a message. Or even if you get there, you just watch and be sensitive and see the person's response.
Yeah, once you've shown up, everybody knows why you are there. And if you get them, they're talking current affairs to take the person's mind off. You just join and don't say. And what about this idea of people who I've seen this happen, and I've seen people traumatized by it. You're bereaved. Every other person who comes wants to pray again. And do you encourage things like that?
Well, I won't say it's not encouraged. I won't say it's discouraged either. But I know, being through such a thing as that as well, and everybody wants to come and pray. Some people appreciate it, I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
But some don't, So if it's a thing that the person appreciates, why not? Because the truth is, in times of loss and grief, a lot of people have found strength in their faith. And they're, well, for Christians, their church members, maybe for the Muslims, the members of their mosque actually come in to pray. And so it's different. It's not something that I will write off completely. Yes.
Is there anything wrong if somebody is bereaved and he decides to delve into his work, for example? And they say, you can't go to work tomorrow now. I said, I'd rather go. Is there anything wrong with that? Or is that denial?
It's supposed to be like, it's a coping mechanism for that person, but it's not necessarily healthy.
It's not healthy.
Yes.
So take that break.
Because it could be that the person is at that stage of denial that I'm okay, I'm not affected. Life goes on. You lose someone, changes happen. Life does not go on, especially on the immediate.
Well, I'm saying so because we've seen public figures, who have lost someone, and it's like, I've submitted everything to God, and then I don't go on as usual. Does that affect ultimately the person? For pastors, for example, sometimes they will say that, I have to preach this sermon anyway, and they just move on to show strength and faith. But does it have a side? Does it have a backlash?
It could, and it could not. Depend. There's the thing that we talk, even in.
Yeah, go on.
Psychology.
You give us that minute, yes.
Okay, in psychology, we talk about the connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Okay.
And we always encourage spiritual development, to be honest, especially when it's going through difficult times. And even just for your own mental health, because a healthy spirit equals to a healthy, social and physical being as well. So for that pastor at that state, depending on their own level of spirituality, we don't know if they're truly getting that calm and that comfort from God or whoever it is that they believe in.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I got to pay a bill. Very important. I'm having Gbemi Ogunrinde. She's a psychologist, and we're talking about how to handle trauma. We'll be back immediately after this, and when we're back, we'll open up our lines for you to contribute and ask questions, okay? So hang in there, we'll be right back.
Yellow! This is a public service announcement to our dear customers. As mandated by the NCC, MTN will be linking your national identification number
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Registered but can't remember your
Yeah, you're welcome back. All you boys out there. Bayo Ayonga says she fine, no true. Babatunde Thomas says she looks like her sister, Sister B. And says, say me hi to her. Hi to her, call. Hi to her name. It says, see her gorgeous smile. This is Karim Ahmed. I hope your wives are listening and your girlfriends. Luxun Kwadi says, good morning, Mr. Jimmy. And also your guests. Compliments of the season. Thank you very much, Oche. God bless you. Take your eyes off her. Eniola Oluwaboye says hi to you guys. Kanu Emenike says, Uncle Jimmy, your guest is beautiful. Like her hair, I like her hair. However, Nigerian educational system needs at least 2 mental psychologists in each school, and every organization a must by whatever it says. Emmanuel Emenike says she's cute, oh. Adetoro Adekunle. This is not what. Why can't you? You people fall my hand. Adetoro Adekunle says she's so beautiful. Hey, Bemi, are you available? Let us clear. Wow. I think this is the first time I'm having this kind of reactions. Nobody is saying anything. They're not listening. They're not. Emmanuel Emenike, she's cute. Adetoro, scroll it down, Baba. Scroll it down. These are people who should still be fasting, no? That's all we have there. So many. Who is this? Chike Akoma. Chike Akoma says beautiful. You people fall my hand. I don't feel like taking telephone calls anymore. Everybody is watching on YouTube. Anyway, let me take the first caller. Hello, good morning.
Uncle Jimmy.
Yes, ma. Is that Grandma?
Good morning, sir.
Grandma, where have you been?
I kuku de na one troublesome titi ló fẹ́ pa ọ̀tá mi.
Hey, Epele. Eti yo, they have removed this.
Mo ti yọ.
So my mama jẹran lẹ́ni.
Àti lè jẹran pé yẹn máa pọ̀ gan ma.
Hey, sorry, Grandma.
Àbúkò tó lọ yọ eyín. Mo là ni mo yọ.
Sorry, Grandma. Sorry.
Ẹ ṣé.
Epele.
Thank you. You see, they are looking at beautiful faces to keep themselves happy now.
I understand.
Ìgbà kéèyàn keep ara ẹ̀ happy.
I understand.
Part of the psychology now, Uncle Jimmy.
Where is Papa? Is he watching YouTube in the bedroom?
For where?
Okay, Grandma, enjoy yourself and Barka the Salah. I'll take another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Jimmy.
Morning, sir.
This is Pastor Ladipo.
We know it's you now. Don't bother to. Everybody knows you.
Thank you. I really like your guest. She's looking a bit beautiful.
Pastor. How many times did I call you?
3 times. So please, I want to ask him a question.
Baba, is he?
overcome when you are having a phobia. Maybe something happened to you, like you are robbed in the traffic, or you are arrested by any LASMA official or whatever. And ever since, you refuse to let it go. Anytime you see or go within that area, you have this phobia. Psychologically, how do you overcome it? Thank you and God bless Nigeria.
Yes.
Bye, Kadisala.
All right, sir. Thank you for your question. It's very, very common, yes, to be have a phobia for a particular issue, but when you know you've been traumatized by it, the most important thing is initially, if it's possible to avoid, it's okay. Because it's recent, so it's only normal. It's expected that one tries to avoid such a situation. But after a while, we have something that we call systematic desensitization. Although this is usually done and structured by a professional, where they help to gradually expose you. Say, for instance, the issue of the LASMA situation, or even being robbed on a particular street. So the person tries to help you gradually expose you to that particular scenario, that situation in a gradual way. For instance, not you going there physically, but you could be in session with that person, and that person just asks you to sit, close your mind, and imagine you're getting into your car and you're driving down, that same road, trying to replay the whole thing in your mind. Right there and then, it comes as if it's the situation again.
Do you do any form of hypnosis on your clients?
I don't. I'm not.
But some people do that.
Some people do, yeah.
What's the benefit of that?
Well,
Or why don't you do it?
Well, maybe because it just doesn't resonate with me.
Okay.
Yes.
You don't want to get hypnotized yourself, because sometimes if you, in an attempt to hypnotize.
I prefer people to be conscious when they make
Yes.
their life changes, or they get the insight as to what the issue might be.
One common thing that most adults would have gone through by the age of 25 is breakup, marriage, relationships. How do you handle that? Sometimes it has a lasting effect. It sounds so simple now, breakup, but sometimes it can cause a lot of damage. So how do you handle that?
Well, I think the first thing will be to accept, because whether we like it or not, it's still it's a loss.
Yeah,
There's
it's
the
a loss,
grieving,
yes.
there's the grieving stage. So allow yourself to experience whatever emotions come with it. If
Let
it's
it
anger,
flow.
you want to cry, don't try and, bottle
The
anything.
babe saying do again. If they cry for in presence now.
No, on your own. No.
Baby,
In your own quiet
I
time
was
and in your
thinking that
place.
you will be able to manage this old Joe. But I mean, it's not a Dear Bumi day, but we can make a quick referral to that. Sometimes when you want to you've made up your mind, you want to break up with somebody, then they break down completely. The thing becomes a calamity. And sometimes you find people saying, "Oh, because of this, let's go back." Is that the right thing to do?
If you had already made up your mind at some point, it's
Yes.
best you still
You just
st-
stick to it.
Because
Yeah.
now you're going back as a result of pity, and
Pity.
it's not good for you. It's not good for the other person.
It's not good to love people out of pity, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not. Wow. Okay. But I think, would you like to stress to our people that you will always face some trauma at some point in your life?
Every single person, every single individual, at some point, even as even children, at some point in your life, you will experience trauma. I think losing a loved one is like one of the most common, that everybody at some point in time will have to go through. But there's nobody that's immune to trauma.
Some
Nobody.
traumas, are they physiologically inclined, like depression? I had an experience, and the doctor explained to me then, Professor Asuni, that it was physiological. There was nothing, some fluids coming, whatever it is. Do you also?
Oh, there's some people that they're diagnosed with depression as a result of some chemical
Imbalance, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so yeah, there are cases like that.
But I think we need to stress to them that once you start feeling funny, you better run. Who do you run to now? A psychologist? A psychiatrist? Who is the first port of call?
I think you could speak with a psychologist first. Psychologists and counselors, psychotherapists, these are people that we engage before we get to that point of a mental breakdown. When you're at that point of a mental breakdown, then you will need a psychiatrist. So if you meet with a psychologist and they find out that, okay, this might probably be as a depression induced by chemical imbalance, they would need to refer you to a psychiatrist because they are the ones that can prescribe medication. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, somebody once said that, Jimmy, you're always talking about, I said, look, I need to explain to people to get over this phobia and this unnecessary stigmatization. Like my doctor explained to me, just like you have high blood pressure, you have this one. And he said to me, it's not curable, but it's manageable. And I took that in good faith and have my medications with me all the time, in case I get a funny feeling, you know what to do. We need to be more open-minded about these things because they are walking time bombs all around us, who, because of stigmatization, don't know that they really need to reach out for help. And that's why, and then it becomes a dilemma if you are looking out for other people. Because of stigmatization, again, how am I going to tell? I found people, for example, in marriages, the wife knows that there's something wrong with this guy, but she can't tell the family, she can't tell anybody. I hope that at some point we'll learn to change. We will eventually change our thoughts and ideas on mental health situations for us to know that, because eating excessively is a mental health disorder, isn't it?
Well, it could be.
It could be.
Depending, or it could be a symptom of something
or
else.
Not eating. It's an extreme.
Yes, it's always extremes. Yeah.
Extreme. Either you're not eating at all. I can't wear anything inside me. I have somebody I know who was diagnosed that he didn't know his brain didn't pick that he had eaten. He never knew he was full. Just kept eating on and on and on and on, and you do find this. Let me take another call. Hello, morning. Oh, we lost that. Okay. The number is 0700 993 993 993. And even though it's a public holiday, all the rules of calling apply. Okay. And of course, the female number is. Hello.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes.
Omonile, why don't you?
Yes. Omonile.
Yeah,
This man. Wait. What does that mean? How can I be Omonile? Do you know the people they call Omonile? Do I look like a land grabber to you?
You are the owner of Lagos.
No, there's a land grabber in Okpebi in Philip. What's about that polytechnic graduate? He's a land grabber.
You are the son of Akitoye and Kosoko.
I know, not Kosoko, it's Kosoko. Okay, just go. It's somebody having challenges, but that problem has not. For example, poverty can meet challenges.
The truth is, yes, there's poverty hasn't been and all that. We always encourage such people to develop such what situations.
And they're probably more. Like I said once here, in the queue of life. Let's assume all of us line up. You find more people behind you than in front of you. But do you find some spiritual problem? There's a lot of that. They put some shoe that for. Have you the situation where you believe that we are blessing? What is she?
I try not to entertain those kind of thoughts and.
It's a tough one for you. But in overwhelmed passion.
Oh, there's been a couple. There's
And then, so what had you done that they do? Lottie labor.
No. I have a person that this is a challenging case I have at hand. What do you run? Things like that. So I don't think I have all.
People can be taken over by demons. Do you believe that? You don't believe that? So
that's why I said, we still appreciate the place of spiritual.
All of it. You don't want to admit it directly.
I think it's important that requires spirituality. There's certain steps that we need to take to get out of whatever meant that found ourselves. That doesn't.
You could at point this water.
Before I start working, so I also give you that ask if point in the therapy you'll be both faith and psychology with your work, and if the person says yes, then if somewhere down the line we feel like okay we need to bring more faith into what we're doing, then fine. But if the person says no, then we keep it strictly,
Yeah, so that my question
psychological.
is answered eventually, that you do believe that some need some faith-based approach.
Oh, yes.
That's a nice way to put it. Faith-based. What about, when you say faith-based approach, does it have to be Christian, or could it be Muslim, or could it be traditional?
It could be whatever you believe in.
Do you believe in the traditional form of when, like, for example, one no we recruit every morning, one no laturi, one kick him and so on and so forth?
No.
You know?
No.
Where do you think we got that from? Is that a lack of understanding?
I honestly don't
You
know.
honestly
Well,
don't-
maybe would it be? I don't know if it's ignorance or lack of understanding. Maybe,
But
I
some people
honestly
say it
don't know.
works. They beat the living.
Because they believe in. It's what you believe in will work for you. That's
All right. He's fasting, so I can't.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not fasting.
Yeah, all right. I think we have a call.
Hello.
Yes, morning.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Yes.
And good morning to your guest.
Yes.
morning.
Okay. So the subject is a very interesting one. My name is Adeline.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to ask your guest.
Can you turn down your radio
I'll do that just now.
or just switch it off completely, please?
Okay, I'll do that.
Hello?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I just want to ask your guest the relationship between diet and some of these health challenges, like depression and stuff like that. Because I've watched a lot of documentaries.
Yes.
One in particular that resonates with me is the one I watched several years ago. It's called The Healing Arts.
Yes.
And there were so many diseases that were linked to diet, especially of the mind and so many things. And then when they applied diet, those diseases were taken care of.
Okay.
And then recently, there was a lady that had what they call postpartum depression.
Okay.
And then just with, she had been going to the hospital, the Yaba left as they normally call it. And
Yes.
at the end of the day, with nutrition, she got back,
Okay.
to health.
Point noted.
So that's my question.
Okay, so what he's saying, you understood what he said?
Yes.
Yeah, you have diabetes, like, for example, if you eat ECW all the time, you could be breathing like a goat. Okay, go on now.
Yes, that like she rightly said, the documentary was absolutely correct to show that there is a relationship between our diets and some, mental health conditions as
Give me
well.
an example, please.
Say for instance, eating foods that are rich in to battle. They help with helping us overcome. There's not that a particular food causes. Yes, it's just that eating some particular food could help with
In
overcoming. Yes.
What kind of food?
So eating foods rich in omega-3 is
Which-
very,
what-
very
what food would
helpful.
that be?
Fish, most like.
Oh, fish.
Yes,
Oh, food, you said. I thought you said
Foods.
fruit.
foods.
Oh, fish.
Yes, fish. That
Wh-
would
What about meat? Red meat?
red meat. Well, I know it gives iron.
Bokoto and all these things.
I know red meat gives you iron. I don't know about if it has any benefits with
Is
regards
there
to
any
mental
correlation
health.
between what you eat and panic attacks? Or when you eat? I think when you eat could, because you could find yourself from sleep regurgitating your food if you've eaten late, and that could lead to a panic attack.
That's a new one. I don't think I've.
No, I'm not a this. I'm just saying.
That's not something I've ever thought of
ever
or
thought of.
experienced before.
But how do
so-
you handle panic attacks anyway?
Well, the most obvious one that we always say is to try and calm yourself down by breathing. Yes,
But
and
that's
the thing
after
is, the
it has
panic
come.
attacks don't just come like that. It's a stage by stage thing. So the most important thing is that you have to be observant. Observe yourself. And if each time you have one, you always want, after you're out of it, you want to think back as to what triggered it. Was it something that happened? Was it something somebody said or something that I heard? And then it starts off with maybe the heart beating fast, or you not being able to breathe before it gets to that point where, you're all hysterical and all that. So at that point when you start feeling uneasy, you want to begin to...
Well, it happens to me, for example, if I eat very late, I'm likely to wake up with a panic attack.
Oh.
Yes. And then if I'm constantly worried for quite, then sometimes it can lead to panic attacks and all kinds of things. And then I don't like enclosures. You must admit to yourself what you like and what you don't like. I don't like enclosures. I don't like the dark. That's who I am. I don't like lifts. Any enclosure, no. Flying, I just about tolerate. Being at sea, I love looking at the water, but I'd rather not be on it. And I think that part of the psychological well-being of a human being is, first of all, to admit what you can do and who you are, and what you can't do. That also. What about addictions? How do you handle that?
That's
a dangerous one, isn't it?
Entirely, it's a different niche that takes specification and specialization in, and so it's because it has a lot to do with the wiring of the brain and all of that, and which in turn affects one's behaviors. And you feel like, because a lot of people think that people that have addictions are just weak or they're just giving excuses, but the truth is it's become a constant thing that they've exposed themselves to, so that pattern is already formed.
How do you knock it off? I'm addicted to sugar.
Addicted to sugar.
I'm addicted to sugar. I love sneaking out to the supermarket where I used to buy ice cream all the time. One day I got there and said, "Bye, ma, I'll be more." Super. The supervisor said, "Don't come here." But I then discovered that this thing usually comes on when I have too much time on my hands. Or when I'm worried. You just take solace in something sweet. It's good for people out there to sit back and analyze yourself.
Very, very important.
Am I right?
Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. It helps. It helps. Okay, let's take one or two more calls. But you're going to come back, Is that a promise?
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll put a mask on you so they won't worry about your face. Hello? Yes.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes.
Please, I'm that lady.
Who is speaking?
Oh, this I can be back on the line.
Okay.
Grandchildren.
Okay, go on.
Yes. Assuming the brain is the one that actually wire everything. You should tell us how to keep the brain from any harm.
Okay.
So, things on the mind is stored in the brain.
Okay.
So the brain is the computer of one.
Okay, man. All right, man. I think the first thing to do is always wear a crash helmet so your brain make it not scatter. Okay, we have just 1 minute for you to answer that. I got to get that.
Well, I'm not quite sure I get her, but anything regarding the
brain. No,
she
was saying, how do we keep the brain? Is there anything we eat that nurtures the brain? I think that's the kind of advice you need.
I think basically your thoughts
yes.
are very, very important, because the thoughts and the mind, it's eventually, we say our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviors have a way of influencing each other back and forth.
Okay.
So it's important that as much as possible we try to keep our thoughts positive as much as we can.
Okay.
So the more positive thoughts that we get, the better we feel and how we behave at the end of the day.
Okay, and I think the one you can actually do is every time you're on an Okada, I beg, wear a crash helmet to protect your brain. Thank you very much, Gbemi Ogunade, for coming. Do I extract a promise that you'll be here pretty soon? Gbemi has two books that she's written, Keeping It Together in a Crazy and Uncertain World. It's for kids. The two, are these the same? Are these the same books?
Yes, but different ages.
Different ages. She has one for
7 to
12, and another for 2 to 6. And these are books that you give your kids to read. And part of keeping it together really is to teach them what to do. We are going to have to do a session on kids pretty soon, Gbemi, so that we can know how to discover early enough. Then we'll probably use this book as a guide.
All right.
Okay, yes, we're going to do that very quickly, very soon. So we'll get to do that. Okay, but I will be the distributor for this book. I will treat it. If you want to buy it, what percentage do you give distributors? Onokon Woja. How do you translate? Philip, how do you translate? You don't even understand Yoruba. Baba Awetiton, how do you say Onokon Woja in English?
Multitasking.
No, that's you need to do it. That's one route does not enter the market. Okay, baby, thank you. That's where we'll knock off for today. Thank you very much, Gwemi Ogunide, for coming. Thank you very much, Sharif, for being by me on this Salah day. The next time we're going to bring Gwemi in, we're going to be talking about children specifically, so you don't want to listen. Philip, thank you for coming in on a public holiday when you should be drinking akpateshi or something like that. So we'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll take it nice and easy. But on Saturday, we are doing a tribute to Iyabo Awokoya. And I'm sure that is going to be a very hot session. You don't want to miss that one. Okay? So, Gwemi, thanks. Sheriff, I fit go now. Okay, sir. Oda, sir. Yes.